in turn born on foreign soil, all of which are scattered, making almost a kaleidoscope effect when you view this research. Union Cemetery has come to mean the unification of nationalities. This research shows a strong presence of the immigrant population was from Germany. The evidence of Crystal Lake's German-speaking immigrants fills Union Cemetery. Father and mother, written in German, describing the deceased placement in the family, are displayed several times in Union Cemetery, as well as one instance of grandfather. The traditional markings for birth and death are displayed on this headstone, along with epitaphs also written in German. A common phrase found on numerous memorials in Union Cemetery translates to "here rest in God." The "here rest in God" is proudly displayed on a headstone, along with a lengthy epitaph written in German. Below are the names of the deceased. I'd like to call attention to the ornate script found on this stone. Many older headstones of German immigrants located in Union Cemetery are inscribed in the style of lettering called Fraktur. Fraktur was used for printed and German from the 16th century until 1940. The name Fraktur comes from the Latin meaning broken script. The ornamental tiddlybits and curlicues break the continuous line of the word. This style of script was primarily written in German, but Fraktur could also be found used for a number of languages, including Finnish, Czech, Swedish, Danish, and Norwegian. All of the examples I have located in Union Cemetery are in German. Fraktur not only is a style of lettering, but it's also a term that can be used to describe an elaborate form of folk art. These Fraktur drawings are found decorating a wide variety of forms. The most common is birth certificates, but marriage blessings and book plates are also found. The images most generally found decorating these documents are hearts, birds, and a variety of flowers, including the lily tulip and rose of Sharon, and circular motifs such as pointed stars and whirling wheels. These decorations were applied to household objects, furniture, barns in the form of hex signs, and yes, tombstones. I have found many similarities from the art found in the area of the Pennsylvania Dutch region, which are German, and the headstones of German deceased in Union Cemetery. During the Victorian era, certain symbols connected to mourning were commonly displayed in a cemetery, such as either urns or willow trees. But Germans, unlike the English, did not reserve certain symbols for use only in their cemetery. But instead, they decorated their gravestones with symbols that they used every day, and they came in contact with every day. The lily tulip is the flower most associated with the Pennsylvania Germans. Artists and artisans began using these flowers interchangeably, leading to confusion on which flower was actually being used in the art. Both plants are planted as regular dead-looking bulbs in winter, representing Christ's death and burial, and then bloomed in spring, symbolizing Christ's resurrection. The planting and blooming can also mean the planting of the word in Christ in the person and the blooming of faith and belief. Notice the spinning wheels placed carefully into the end of the design. This symbol represents cyclonic movement and as well as life and good fortune. Flowers, many times are displayed geometrically on German headstones, but the leaves tend to be lifelike. The sun wheel is also displayed on headstones of this German immigrant. The sun wheel was a popular gravestone symbol with the Pennsylvania Germans, symbolizing life-giving forces of nature. The motif can also represent the soul in heaven, the Son of God, as well as Christ's death and resurrection. Shown here are two examples of Fraktur art decorated with sunburst designs. Drops of water, sometimes seen on Pennsylvania Dutch hex signs, are also found on the stones of this German father. The heart is commonly displayed in Fraktur art and also seen woven into the designs on headstones of our German immigrants. The heart was a vehicle by which a person heard the gospel and the source of promise and faith and promise of everlasting life. There are also similarities between the Germans buried in other parts of the United States and those interred in Union Cemetery in the look of the entire headstone itself. The archway was commonly used to symbolize the passageway to heaven. The 18th century German headstones in Pennsylvania are carved to show the entire archway with columns on either side, arched that sometimes even included a keystone. This example in Union Cemetery pictures the archway, and the side columns are decorated by the hearts. Another German headstone in Union with the side columns adorned with flowers. These symbols and decorations are shown on headstones of other nationalities as well, but they do tend to be displayed more frequently on the stones of our German immigrants. I have found that generally the headstones of the other nationalities interred in Union Cemetery tend not to present with features distinguishing them from the other headstones. Many just have the inscription, and if decorative art is displayed, it is general funerary art commonly used during the time period by many groups. Dearly departed in Union Cemetery not only chose designs familiar to them for their headstones, but also materials familiar to them to construct them as well. The terracotta industry employed many heads of immigrant families. Terracotta headstones, more obvious because of their outstanding white color, can be found in Union Cemetery. As the U.S.-born children of immigrant families started to be placed into Union Cemetery, standard funerary designs found throughout the United States became more prevalent. The urn is a very common form of art found on our cemetery landscapes. Since ancient times, cremation has been a way of preparing the dead for burial. The container in which the remaining ashes is placed is called an urn. These urns are found in every size and shape imaginable. Many times the urn is covered by a cloth representing the shroud covering the body. The covering can also represent the transition between life and death, a point at which the soul crosses from what we know to the unknown that's now hidden from our view by the cloth. I particularly like the shrouded urns because when viewed from behind, they remind me of a cloaked mourner visiting a cemetery to pay their last respects. These urns are symbolic and do not contain ashes. But cremation is becoming more popular in modern times. A structure called a columbarium, specially made for the placement of ashes referred to as cremains, is located on the east side of Union Cemetery. Large balls, not as near as common as the urn. 3 examples are found in Union Cemetery. Spheres represent unity, the universe as a whole, and perpetual motion. It can tell of an individual's union of body, mind, spirit, illustrating a completeness of oneself. But the most distinctive headstones in Union Cemetery are the tree stump stones. The natural aesthetics of these stones stand in sharp contrast to their surrounding headstones. These stones in Union Cemetery and their accessory pieces are considered rustic funerary art. The headstones and complement grave items that exhibit natural bark all fall under this heading. The tree stump stones and other forms of rustic funerary art are currently the focus of my headstone research. I have documented over 2,500 examples so far in the Midwest, so I have many cemetery collections to compare our Union Cemetery to. For a cemetery of Union size, it has one of the best as well as varied collections of examples that I have found in the Midwest, and we should be proud of these outstanding local headstones. The tree stump stones started to appear in cemeteries in the 1850s, and then they gained in popularity through the 1880s, reaching the pinnacle of their use from 1890 through the beginning of the 20th century. These trees are carved to resemble oak trees that have always stood for power and strength. The vertical tree stump headstones can range in size anywhere from 4 inches to 15.5 feet. We have 2 outstanding examples of vertical typology in our Union Cemetery. The Hamilton hailstone. Inscriptions are shown in a variety of ways on these tree stump stones. This example displays mutilated bark that has been pulled back in order to expose the names of the deceased. Foliage and ivy decorate the tree stump. Ivy symbolizes immortality, undying affection, and eternal life. The ivy that intertwines the tree stone shows that life has gone on, but not forgetting the foundations set by the ancestors. Fungi and is a form of shelf fungus on brackets and found in nature growing on dead tree trunks. They're carved as a decorative element, but also show that life flourishes even on after the death of the tree. Mushrooms are also displayed. Chinese have always considered mushrooms to have special properties in which nourish the spirit. The Watson stone displays several clues in its carvings that the doctor may have died in his prime. The flat top on the tree stump stone with only gentle weathering symbolizes that the deceased was chopped too soon. The Watson stone's inscription is displayed on a scroll hanging from a rope and decorated by a cluster of oak leaves. Many times the scroll, with a portion of it still rolled at the bottom, symbolizes that the life was taken before their full story could be written. The potted calla lily seems to be the reason that the scroll can't fully be unrolled. The calla lily is many times placed on graves of people who suffered untimely deaths. Dr. Colin Watson died at the age of 50 years old. The Foster tree stone falls into the typology known as the pulpit style. This type is selected by people that have strong religious beliefs. Decorative art and the family surname are displayed on the trunk, and then the inscription for Henry is actually displayed on the pages of the book. This represents Lamb's Book of Life, in which the names of God's chosen are written. One's name is not automatically entered at birth. You need to ask God to place your name in his book. By placing the inscription on the pages of the book and then facing them upward is symbolically asking God to place his name in the book. The double vertical tree stump of Charles Young is a work of art. These double tree stump stones are a magnificent cemetery find for people like me that seek out these examples. I have only located 37 examples of double verticals in the Midwest so far, and many are not of the height or quality of this young stone. I feel that most in the area have no idea what unique treasures we have in our Union Cemetery. Generally, these trees represent marriage trees or husband and wife trees. Eric Sloan mentions husband and wife trees in his book, A Reference of the Wood, and I'll quote, "The big trees appeared 2 at a time, placed as husband and wife trees when a house was built. They were usually on the east side of a house or on each side of an entrance. You could pick out the farmhouses on any New England landscape by the double clumps of trees." End quote. But the usual symbolism does not apply here, because the names other than the wife appear on the connected tree. I speculate that this is due to the remarriage of the young widow. The top of the tree is also chopped and flat instead of weathering, again illustrating a life cut short. Mr. Young died at the age of 26. Grapevines intertwine the branches of the double vertical, which symbolize the blood of Christ. Similar pieces of corded wood also fall into the heading of rustic funerary art. many times overlooked on the cemetery and many times overlooked on our cemetery landscapes. This type may have a religious explanation for their placement in our cemeteries. These